She had the perfect husband, the perfect life. Until one night, she opened the door and let everything fall apart. Erica was loyal, devoted, but sometimes the people we trust most are the ones who quietly lead us into betrayal. Her affair didn't start with passion. It started with loneliness. And by the time she realized what she was doing, she was in too deep. This is the story of a silent betrayal and the man who never saw it coming. She betrayed him with his boss. Have you ever trusted someone so much you never even thought to look behind you? Erica did, and it changed everything. Erica and Adam were the kind of couple people silently admired, maybe even envied a little. You know the ones. The way they looked at each other across a crowded office. How they stayed late just to help the other meet a deadline. Not just lovers, teammates, partners in every sense of the word. They met at work, thrown together by chance, staying together by choice. Both driven, both talented. They pulled each other up through tough deadlines, long meetings, and years of quiet ambition. Eventually, success didn't just knock, it came in like a tidal wave. Promotions, praise, more responsibility. But with it came something even greater. Each other. Marriage for them wasn't the end goal. It was the beginning of something deeper. Erica, with her warm laughter and sharp intelligence, was the kind of woman who could light up a room and still remember to bring home Adam's favorite takeout when he was too tired to cook. She didn't just love him. She believed in him. And Adam? He was steady, quiet but strong. A man of few words, but every one of them counted. His love was in his actions, the coffee placed gently by her keyboard, the text at 2 a.m. after a hard day, the way he always put her first. Their boss, David, had watched this story unfold from the beginning. The company's director, smart and sharply dressed, David was always nearby, charming, successful, powerful. He'd known Adam for years, had mentored him, in fact, and he admired Erica, perhaps a little too openly sometimes, but never in a way Adam noticed. To them, David was a supporter. He praised their work in meetings, handed them big clients, let them take the lead on high-profile projects. He'd always smile that confident smile and say, "You two are the future of this company." And they believed him. They shouldn't have. Erica had never liked David. Not really. She tolerated him because he gave them opportunities, because Adam respected him. But behind his expensive suits and smooth talk, she saw something else. Arrogance, control, a man who liked to own things, even people, and didn't enjoy being told no. Still, life was good. Work was thriving. Their marriage was peaceful. Erica and Adam fell asleep every night with full hearts and quiet minds. Until the night everything started to shift. It was nothing at first, just an ordinary Tuesday. David invited Adam to meet a high-stakes client after hours. Erica didn't think much of it. This was normal. Business dinners happened all the time. But when Adam came home that night, he wasn't alone. David stumbled in behind him, half drunk and laughing. "Hope you don't mind," Adam said with a nervous smile. He had too much and couldn't drive. He'll crash on the couch. Erica's smile was polite but cold. She minded. She really did. But what could she say? It would make Adam uncomfortable. So she got David a blanket, poured him some water, and went to bed pretending everything was fine. But it wasn't. That night, as she lay beside her husband in the dark, something gnawed at her. She didn't know what it was. A flicker, a whisper, a warning, but she pushed it away. She had no idea that this was just the beginning. And Adam? He wasn't asleep either. Something in him had changed that night too. Something small, almost invisible, but real. He'd noticed the way David looked at her. Too long, too comfortable. He didn't say it out loud, not yet. But a seed had been planted, and seeds always grow. Sometimes the most dangerous things don't arrive like thunder. They slip in silently on the heels of someone you think you trust. The next morning, Adam and David left early, coffee in hand, briefcases in tow, like any other busy day. Erica, still in her robe, stood at the door and waved goodbye. She watched them go, then turned to start her morning. But just 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang. It was David, standing there like it was the most casual thing in the world. "I forgot my tablet," he said smoothly. "Mind if I grab it?" Erica hesitated. Something didn't feel right. But what could she say? So she stepped aside and let him in. He didn't go straight to the living room. Instead, he lingered, looked around, looked at her. "You've got a beautiful home," he said, almost to himself. Then added, "But I guess it's no surprise. A woman like you. Of course it would be beautiful." That made her pause. The compliment was subtle, but not harmless. "I'll get the tablet," she said quickly. But David didn't move. He stayed where he was, his voice low and measured. "You know, Erica, I see how you look at me." She froze. "You're sharp," he continued. "You see through people. I admire that. I think if things were different, you and I could have made a good team." "David," she said quietly, "this isn't appropriate." He just smiled, not a guilty smile, a confident one. "I'm not trying to disrespect Adam. I just needed to say it. You're incredible, and I know you feel it too." "No," she said, too fast. "You're wrong." But something inside her flickered, a spark she hadn't asked for, and hated herself for. David didn't press. He took the tablet and left with a smile that said everything. And that should have been the end. But it wasn't. That afternoon, Erica sat at her desk at work, unable to concentrate. Her mind played the scene over and over. Not just the words, but how she felt. Offended, confused, flattered. And that last part? That's what made her hate herself most of all. She avoided Adam that evening, blamed it on a headache. He didn't push, he never did. He simply brought her tea and kissed her forehead. But the next day, there was a message. From David. Just 2 words. "Coffee later?" She stared at it. Her thumb hovered over the screen. And then she typed back. "Okay." It started small. A coffee here. A long lunch there. Innocent, at least at first. They talked about work, about pressure, about dreams. And David knew just what to say. He listened. He validated. He understood the unspoken things Adam never asked about. The things Erica didn't even know she needed to say aloud. And yet every time she met David, She went home and hated herself a little more. But desire is never logical. It doesn't care about wedding rings or shared bank accounts. It only knows how it feels. And that feeling? It was growing. Soon, they started meeting in secret. After work, before work, sometimes during. They told themselves lies that sounded like truth. It's just talking. We haven't done anything wrong. We're not hurting anyone. But deep down, they knew better. The first time it happened, the hotel room, neither of them spoke afterward. Erica just stared at the ceiling, heart pounding, breath shaky, and whispered to herself, "What did I just do?" And David? He lit a cigarette with shaking hands and said nothing. After that, it didn't stop. It got easier. They became careful, clever, smiling at meetings like nothing was happening. But beneath every glance was a current of something electric, dangerous, addictive. Erica still went home every night. She still kissed Adam on the cheek and asked about his day. But every word tasted like guilt. Every smile was stitched together with shame. And Adam, sweet, loyal Adam, never suspected a thing. Not yet. Some betrayals don't scream. They whisper softly, slowly, until you can't hear your own conscience anymore. Erica woke up next to Adam every morning, just like she always had. But now, when he rolled over to kiss her forehead, she turned her face just slightly away. Not enough to raise suspicion, just enough to protect the lie. Adam didn't notice, or maybe he did, and convinced himself it was nothing. He buried himself in work more than ever, took on extra projects, stayed late at the office, and Erica, she used that time. Every night he worked overtime was a door cracked open. The affair with David didn't burn like fire. It smoldered quiet, heavy, consuming her slowly. They never said I love you. That would have made it real. This wasn't love. It was something else uglier, more selfish, and far harder to define. Erica didn't understand it herself. David wasn't kind. He wasn't soft like Adam, but there was something intoxicating about the way he wanted her, as if being desired made her feel alive in a way she hadn't felt in years. Sometimes she'd look at herself in the mirror and try to find the woman she used to be, the wife, the teammate, the person who believed in loyalty, in honesty, in Adam. But that woman was shrinking, fading into the shadows behind her reflection. There were nights Erica cried after David left the hotel, not because he hurt her, but because she didn't recognize who she'd become. And yet she couldn't stop. It was a sickness. The more she lied, the more she needed to lie. The more she cheated, the more she justified it. Adam's too focused on work, she told herself. He doesn't see me anymore. He doesn't feel me anymore. But deep down, she knew that wasn't true. Adam was still the same man, still thoughtful, still steady, still hers. He just didn't know he was losing her piece by piece. Every time she answered David's messages with trembling hands and a racing heart. David, for his part, grew bolder. He started texting her at inappropriate times, leaving comments on her work that only she could read between the lines. One afternoon, during a company presentation, he let his fingers brush the small of her back as he passed. Erica flinched so slightly no one else noticed, but her skin burned where he touched her. And then there was the night Adam found the receipt. It was small, folded in half, from a hotel neither of them had ever stayed at. 2 dinners, 2 glasses of wine, room service, a suite. Erica had carelessly stuffed it in her bag and forgotten about it. Adam didn't confront her right away. He just held the paper for a long time, silent, still, like someone trying to do the math in his head, but realizing the numbers don't add up. That night, he came home and didn't speak. He cooked dinner like always, kissed her cheek like always, but there was something different in the air. Erica felt it. She didn't ask. And he didn't tell. But the silence at the table was heavier than any shouting could have been. Later that week, David asked her to meet again. She said yes, because she always said yes. But when she arrived at the hotel, something inside her broke. She stood in the hallway, staring at the door, her heart thudding against her chest, her fingers trembling. She couldn't breathe. She turned and left, didn't answer his texts, didn't open his calls. She walked aimlessly through the city, the weight of every choice pressing down like concrete on her chest. She went home late that night. Adam was asleep or pretending to be. She slipped into bed, careful not to wake him. And for the first time in weeks, she curled against him, not because she had to, but because she needed to remember what safety felt like. But even then, guilt isn't a thing that lets you sleep easy. It waits, it whispers, and it was only a matter of time before everything came crashing down. There's a moment in every lie when it stops being just a secret and becomes who you are. Erica crossed that line a long time ago. She told herself it was over. That night she left the hotel without knocking on David's door. She swore she'd never go back. She came home hoping, begging things could return to how they were. That Adam, in his quiet way, would forgive things he didn't even know he had to forgive. But it doesn't work like that. Guilt doesn't disappear just because you decide you're done. David didn't let go either. He never raised his voice, never demanded, but he insisted in subtle, persistent ways. A look across the office, a message on her screen, a quiet threat wrapped in a compliment. You're not like the others, Erica. You're already halfway out the door. Don't pretend you aren't. And maybe he was right. She began slipping again. It started with a lunch, just lunch. Then a drink after a long client meeting. Then the hotel. Again. This time there was no hesitation. No tears on the way home. Just numbness. Just emptiness. Erica told herself it was survival. That she was just buying time, trying to figure out what she really wanted. But deep down, the truth was simpler and more brutal. She had already made her choice. David became more than a secret. He became a habit, a place she went when the guilt was too heavy, when the love in her marriage felt like a burden instead of a gift. It wasn't about happiness anymore. It was about escape, and that escape came at a cost. Adam worked more, slept less. He started watching her not suspiciously, but like he was trying to find something that had disappeared. The way she smiled, the way she touched him, the way she used to talk about her day, like he was the only one who could understand it. She stopped meeting his eyes. Stop saying, "I love you" first. He noticed, but he didn't accuse. Instead, he started failing. Deadlines slipped. He missed meetings. His energy drained. The man who had once been a rising star in the company began to crumble quietly at his desk. And David? He watched it all, silent, smug, like a king watching pawns move exactly where he wanted them. One Friday night, Adam didn't come home. Erica called his phone. No answer. She paced the apartment, panic bubbling under the surface. What if something happened? What if he? But then, at 1:13 a.m., the door opened. Adam stepped in, exhausted, his eyes bloodshot, his tie crooked. He dropped his keys, looked at her like he was staring through fog, and whispered, "Do you still love me?" She couldn't answer. The silence between them was louder than any scream. That night, she went, and the next night, and the one after. Adam stopped asking where she was, stopped waiting up, stopped hoping. Months passed. The woman Erica used to be was gone, replaced by someone who smiled on cue, cried in private, and lived in two different worlds, one of shadows and secrets, the other of silence and shame. She never confessed, and Adam never confronted her. They just faded. One morning, she woke up and realized she didn't know who she was married to anymore. And worse, she didn't know who she was either. Some betrayals shatter everything in an instant. But some, they just bleed out slowly, until there's nothing left to save. And by the time you realize it, it's already too late.